Hello and welcome back to another video review, this time for Dredd. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this, and please leave a comment below letting me know if you enjoyed the film. Before anyone says anything, I know I was going to review Aquaman, but I feel like I just needed to stop watching the DCEU because they were getting a bit annoying to watch. If you do want me to watch the rest of the DC movies, then please do not hesitate to let me know. But otherwise, I'll be moving on to different movies. The majority of the United States is a dystopic post-nuclear war wasteland, known as the Cursed Earth in 2080. Mega City 1, a violent city with 800 million citizens and 17,000 severe crimes recorded daily, is located on the East Coast. The judges, who serve as judge, jury, and executioner, are the only source of order. The chief judge assigns Judge Dredd to evaluate new recruit Cassandra Anderson, a strong psychic who narrowly failed the aptitude exams to become a judge. Madeline Mama Madrigal murders 3 renegade drug dealers by having them skinned alive in peach trees, a 200-story slum tower block. They are injected with slow-mo, a new addictive medication that decreases the viewer's perception of time to 1% of normal, and flung from the top floor into the atrium. Dredd and Anderson are dispatched to investigate and discover a narcotics den, which they then raid. They apprehend a gangster named Kay, who Anderson's mental probing suggests was the one who carried out the executions, and Dredd chooses to interrogate him. Mama's soldiers take the tower security control room and shut the building to prevent the judges from fleeing or seeking assistance. Mama orders the assassination of Dredd and Anderson, requiring the judges to battle their way past hundreds of armed goons. When the judges arrive on the 76th level, Mama and her soldiers attack them with rotary guns that burst through the walls, killing several inhabitants. The judges break an outer wall and request reinforcements. Meanwhile, Mama dispatches her henchman, Caleb, to find the judges. Dredd tosses Caleb over the tower in front of Mama. Dredd assumes Mama is trying to keep Kay quiet and beats him to get information. Anderson is able to read Kay's mind and discovers that Peach Trees is the hub of slow-mo manufacturing and distribution. Anderson recommends hiding until help arrives, but Dredd insists on moving up the tower and pursuing Mama. Judges Volt and Guthrie attend to Dredd's summons, but Mama's computer specialist refuses them admission by convincing them that the security system is broken. When 2 armed teenagers attack Dredd and Anderson, Kay is able to disarm and overpower Anderson. Kay then kidnaps her and brings her to Mama's base on the top level as a captive. While Dredd pursues Mama, she summons the corrupt judges, Lex, Kaplan, Chan, and Alvarez. Volt and Guthrie are relieved of their duties, and the 4 are permitted into the building. Dredd meets Chan and is suspicious that he does not inquire about Anderson's whereabouts. When he realizes his cover has been compromised, Chan attacks Dredd but is killed. Meanwhile, Kay attempts to execute Anderson with her own weapon, but the pistol's DNA scanner fails to detect him and explodes, severing his hand. She flees and later runs across Kaplan, whom she murders after reading her mind. Dredd also kills Alvarez, but runs out of bullets. Lex shoots and injures him, but Dredd holds him up long enough to have Anderson arrive and kill Lex. Anderson and Dredd face Mama after obtaining the code to her apartment from her computer expert. If Mama dies, a device on her wrist will ignite explosives on the upper levels, demolishing the structure. Dredd gets Mama to inhale slow-mo and tosses her down the atrium to her death, because the detonator signal would not reach the explosives from the ground floor. Anderson realizes that she has failed her evaluation by being unarmed and departs. The chief judge inquires about Anderson's performance, to which Dredd answers that she has passed. In my opinion, there are only two main characters in this film, and I will talk about them now. Let's start with our main character, Judge Dredd, played by Karl Urban. I think this character was fantastic. He doesn't really have an arc in this movie, but that's okay because I thought his character was great the way he was. I really enjoyed how he took his job really seriously, and it didn't matter what obstacle he faced, he was able to push right through it while still obeying the law. I just love the fact that even when he was struggling, he seemed to have things under control. He seemed to have no fear and was able to dish out justice no matter what happened. I also like the fact that he kept his helmet on the entire movie and we never saw what his face really looked like. In my opinion, it just shows how good of an actor Karl Urban is if we can still see what kind of emotion he is feeling even though we can't see most of his face. The next main character I will talk about is Anderson, played by Olivia Thirlby. I thought she was also a fantastic character. She seems to genuinely care about other people and see both sides of a situation and understand that sometimes it's not a person's fault when they become a criminal. I really like this because crime isn't a black and white thing, and she knows this, and I feel like that makes a really good person when they can see that. I also like the fact that she is a mutant, and I find that aspect of this movie pretty interesting. It's too bad because I honestly wanted to see more of this character, as well as her backstory, because her backstory seemed very interesting. I really like the slow motion shots in this movie. At first they seemed a little bit confusing, because the slow motion happened at the weirdest times, but when they finally explained that this was because of a drug, then it made a lot more sense. I really like the slow motion shots, especially at the beginning of the movie, where Dredd shot up that room full of people. I really like that we were shown the perspective of the criminals being on the drug, rather than the judges shooting up the room. I like this direction because it makes the scene much better, and it makes it less boring, because it's less boring than seeing a bunch of guys just get shot up and die. I really like the brutality in this movie. I point this out because it seemed pretty obvious that they were trying to make this brutal, and it worked in my opinion. In the beginning of the movie they showed bodies that were skinned alive, and in the slow motion shots they show the criminals being shot in brutal ways. Then we had another scene where Anderson was trying to get information out of Kay, so she was messing with his mind. I thought this was pretty brutal as well, because you saw a lot of horrific stuff during this scene, and it really messes with his mind. And I just really like the fact that she was able to do that kind of stuff to him. To be quite honest with you, I really enjoyed the simplicity of this movie. This kind of movie is where you don't really have to watch it for the story, but you watch it for the action, because we have a badass main character, and there's just so much violence in this movie that it's just a good movie to sit back and watch. It has an easy storyline to follow, it's not too long, and it's not too short, and I just really like the fact that a movie like this was made. This movie was great and all, but it did have a few faults. One of my main issues with this movie was the fact that Anderson didn't use her psychic abilities at the proper times. What I mean by this is that towards the end of the movie, when Kay gets out of his handcuffs and takes Anderson hostage in an elevator, I had no problem with this until I remembered that she could have easily gone into his head and messed him up. You could say that because it was a high-stress situation that she was not able to get into his head properly, but they never specified that that was a hurdle for her. I think it was personally to kind of make her the damsel in distress when she didn't have to be. I think she could have used her powers to take down this guy, but I don't know why they decided to not have this in the movie. My second gripe with this movie is that towards the end, They had a bunch of dirty cops try to kill both Anderson and Dredd. They had one female judge and she was going to go after Anderson. They finally confront each other, and the female judge just dies instantly from Anderson shooting her. The reason why I bring this up is because I'm kind of disappointed in that, because on one side, we saw Dredd taking out the other dudes in cool ways, and then Anderson, it was just shooting her once or twice. I would really like to see them fight each other like hand-to-hand combat, or something like that, and it just felt disappointing because I wish they did more with that fight scene. So in the end, what would I rate Dredd? With all of the main characters being well done, and just the overall simplicity of this movie, as well as the cool action scenes, alongside the slow motion, made this a really fun movie to watch. I'm going to give this movie a surprising 8 out of 10. A lot of people may not agree with me on this, but I just thought that this movie was really entertaining, and I am just a sucker for violent movies that have a lot of action, and this fits that criteria perfectly. Did it have a deep storyline? No, but it was still an entertaining movie. If you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe, as well as leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.